Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar of the Seeds of the Mediterranean series. Today's topic is water sustainability within the circular economy. My name is Maria Custódia Correia, and I am the the national coordinator of the Portuguese CAP network. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I welcome you on behalf of the Mediterranean cluster and the CAP networks that are collaborating on this initiative. As you may know, the EU CAP network, together with the national CAP networks, promotes several regional and thematic clusters. The Mediterranean cluster is one of them, and, if I may say so, one of the most dynamic, promoting strong collaboration between the various Mediterranean countries. It's with a great pleasure that we accepted the challenge of organizing this event. Today's topic, water sustainability with the circular economy, is particularly important for the Mediterranean region. Our aim today is to share practical solutions and inspire examples that can help Mediterranean territories use water more sustainably, make better use of resources, and become more resilient to climate change. Today, our speakers will present different projects from the Mediterranean regions. I would like to thank all the project representatives who accept our invitation and are here today to share their work with us. Your participation is very important to bring new ideas and strengthen cooperation between Mediterranean territories. Finally, I would also like to thank the national CAP networks and the UCAP network for collaborating with us in the organization of this webinar. A big thank you to everyone for your commitment and collaboration. Together, we have made this event possible. I wish you all a wonderful webinar. Thank you very much. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Custódia. Good morning, everyone. I would like just to let you know that this session will be recorded. So if you want, you can turn off your cameras. Now I'll hand it over to Christina, who will explain how you can ask questions during the webinar. Christina?
Hello, thank you very much, Claudia, and hi everybody. I'm Cristina Rascon. I come from the European CAP network, but today I am here just to make sure that you have active participation in today's webinar. I'm going to explain how the questions and answers are going to take place. I will share in a minute a link in the chat where you can go to Padlet. You can see at the moment how Padlet looks like, and you will see that there are 4 columns, 1 column per presentation. So during the presentation of the speaker, you can add any question by clicking in the plus button and adding your question. It will be posted and the speaker will answer directly in Padlet. So in case you have any questions for any of the presentation, you can write it there directly and I will share the link in a minute. But first, before we start with presentations, we want to know you. We want to know who is here today in the room. So I would like to ask you to go to the link that I shared in the chat or to scan with your phone the QR code that you can see at the moment on your screen, or you can also go to www.menti.com and enter this code. In here, you will see some questions to get to know you a little bit better. So please go to the link or scan the QR code and you can start answering the questions. I will give you 1 second in case you need to scan the QR code. Okay. If you didn't have time to use the QR code, you can also go to the link in the chat. The first question is whether in 2025 and 2026, your region experienced water scarcity or excess of water. And we can see that we have very diverse response, but some of them are quite extreme. So for most of you, you had both water scarcity and excess of water. You also experienced drought. And in just one case, it was too wet, too much water, or for two people, they had just the right amount of water, which we can see it's quite exceptional. So today we will see how we can deal with water in a sustainable way. Most of you are also coming from a Mediterranean region, so most of the projects and examples will be very relevant to your situations and your region. For those of you who are not coming from Mediterranean region, hopefully this is also going to be useful examples for your regions. We see that these kind of issues and also the potential solutions that can be applied are relevant not only for Mediterranean countries, but also for other places in the world. And just to see, we could read your messages in the chat so we can see where you're coming from. And here we have a more accurate picture of your countries. So we see that many people from Greece, Portugal, Spain are here, but also from Cyprus, Croatia, Malta, and Romania. So this is good variety of stakeholders, and I see that most of you share similar situations. So thank you very much. It's good to know that you're here. I hope that today is going to be useful. I will add the link in the chat for you to add the questions and answers. If you have any technical questions, you can also write it in the chat, but please, for questions and answers, do it directly in the Padlet application. This way, the speakers can answer you after the presentation. Back to you, Claudia, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I will hand her over to Sophia now. She will be presenting the first speaker. Sophia?
Sophia, we can't hear you.
Sophia, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Good morning, all. Thank you, Claudia. It's truly great to see where everyone is joining us from today. Without further ado, I would like to hand the floor to our first speaker, Dr. Andreas Panagopoulos, Research Director at the Soil and Water Resources Institute in Elgo-Dimitra in Greece. He will be presenting SpongeWorks, a project from Greece focused on creating and upscaling sponge landscapes. Dr. Andreas, thank you so much for being with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hadjipadeli. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I'm really amazed with the number of people I see participating, which tells a lot about the need for interventions and solutions to the great Mediterranean problem. Without any further delay, let me quickly get you through my presentation today, which is going to be about SpongeWorks project. It's an Horizon project, which is being implemented in 3 basins in Europe, and one of them is Pineios River Basin, which happens to be the pilot river basin for the Water Framework Directive in Greece. So if we start 15 or 20 or even 25 years ago, what you see here is official data that was released back in year 2000 or year 2010. And you see that even those days, Mediterranean is characterized as a hotspot already with increased temperature patterns, decreased precipitation, and temporal distribution.
Andreas.
Yes.
Sorry for interruption. I think that we cannot see your presentation yet.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
can you
my God.
reshare it? Sorry.
Yes. Sorry about that. Is it okay now?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
It's not in presentation mode, but we can see. Okay, now it's okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So if we go back 15 or 20 or 25 years ago even, Mediterranean, as I said before, is already characterized as a climate hotspot with increased temperature patterns, decreased precipitation and temporal distribution, an increase in forest fires, overheated cities start becoming an issue. Energy consumption increased a lot, and this brings us to agriculture being heavily affected. Soil deteriorated progressively. It brought in a great water stress challenge all over the Mediterranean region. And of course, on the same time, we do face an increasing issue with flood events. And going now to more recent data that was actually released by the European services a few weeks ago, you see that characteristically, in the past 20 or so years, the number of natural disasters increase tremendously high, and so do the costs of rehabilitation of the impact of those disasters. So this brings us to the fact that it's better to prevent than rehabilitate. And SpongeWorks proposes that we should try and prevent through creation of sponge landscapes that are heavily needed in Europe. To do that, we do need to address, first of all, the fact that floods and droughts intensify across Europe that we do know now, and it affects the water quality, the soil health, and the biodiversity a lot. Unfortunately, we still are thinking in terms of water management in the field and in the landscapes in draining focused solutions rather than retaining water in place. And of course, we have started realizing that there is a great need for enhancing the landscapes through sponge functioning. But still, we haven't believed in that, and we haven't been able to do this in large scales. So for the time being, it seems like change, it does happen, but it doesn't happen fast enough and at large scales. However, unfortunately, the facts says that we do need transformative changes and we need them fast. And when we're talking about sponge measures, this is actually in a very simple picture that speaks for itself, I think, what we want to do. We want to convert infertile and compacted soils that don't allow for water retention. Instead, it allows and it propagates runoff and flooding events to a live surface and soil subsurface, which retains water, has life, allows agriculture and nature to increase and expand, and on the same time save water in our aquifers. So this is how it works. Imagine that you have two sequences of precipitation events, a large one and right in the bottom in the right, a shorter one, a smaller depth of precipitation, which results in this hydrograph of a water course. And this is out of the question because on top of the top red line you have floods, below the bottom red line you have a situation of drought risk. What sponge solutions want to do through sponge landscape creations is to reduce the peaks and make sure that the water remains there, but in an effective way, which is useful to the society and the nature. So this is where SpongeWorks come in, a 4-year European project, which is being incorporated in 6 countries with 3 major demo basins. The first one is the transboundary basin of Vecht between the Netherlands and Germany. In southern France, we have Lez, and in Pinos, in the Mediterranean area of Greece, you have the Pilot River Basin of Pinos, and that's where I'm going to focus my presentation today. And this project is also helped by 8 associated regions, as you see, in different biogeoclimatic zones, in order to make sure that we have the transformative change as large as we want it to be. The implementation of the project is done through 12 implementing partners that don't happen to be scientific partners. They're partners that work on a daily basis with the society, either agricultural urban centers. We do have 23 knowledge partners. In total, we are 28 partners implementing more than 29 sponge measures in more than 200 areas of interventions covering more than 4,000 hectares. Now, if we focus on Pineios River Basin, we're talking about a large basin which is very contrasting in many aspects. It's about 11,000 square kilometers, which has two flat plains surrounded by rugged topography and a very high contrasting precipitation pattern varying from 400 to 1800 millimeters, experiencing very hot and dry summers. There is a dense hydrographic network. It is the home of more than 700,000 people, most of which are being involved directly in primary agriculture activities. We do have a great issue of fragmented governance structures, which doesn't make things easy to transgress to a greener and transformative process. We do face a deficient water budget in the past 30 or 40 years with quality issues as well. And there are very high signs of desertification and one pronounced sign of soil decline in quality is the very low soil organic matter. Key challenges, as you may understand, is floods and droughts that are interchanging one another, unfortunately, as you see on the right-hand pictures, which brings in a great water stress and imbalance in the sense of a water deficit and quality deterioration. And all this gives a very low resilience level of the agricultural practices. We want to understand how we can overcome the inertia, and this is a great challenge, and the governance fragmentation. And the greatest challenge of all is to convince the implementers to go sponsors and the stakeholders to support such measures. So how do we do it? We implement measures through 4 discrete partners called implementing partners. The first one is the municipality of Agia in the far east. And there, what we want to do is to implement, and we are doing actually, implement sponge measures in more than 200 hectares in over 350 fields because the land ownership is very small in this part of the country, getting involved more than 40 farmers. In Melivia area, which is up in the mountain, we implement measures through the Melivia cooperative. It's an agricultural cooperative in 35 hectares and 50 fields with more than 18 farmers. It's now actually 25. We're implementing the measures. Moving to the west, we shift from orchards that are the dominant cultivation in the east to arable land in Tavropos irrigation organization area, where they implement measures in more than 350 hectares with buffer strips, hedges, and strip tillage in more than 150 fields, involving a few months ago, only 15 farmers because the land ownership is bigger there, but these are increasing to reach 40 farmers in the next month. And we have, last but not least, the Trikala area, where the implementation is being done by a development company, and the actions there is to develop a riparian forest and a theme park, which will replicate all measures being incorporated in Greece and some dedicated measures in the rest of the 2 demo basins that are fully functioning. And this is open, will be open to public to visit. I forgot to say that in the first 2 areas in the east, we implement mulching, soil water management through irrigation management. And let's move to the next one. Now, this didn't start without anything. We were inspired by previous projects where in pilot fields we implemented soil water management through irrigation scheduling. And we found out that on average, we could save at least 22% of water, which is quite important. And this is even more important if you model it on a what-if situation, applying the measure all over a basin, which gives you fantastic results. More so, if you combine it with mulching, a very simple version of mulching, like forget about herbicides and shift into mechanical management of the weeds, then you increase the soil organic content quite considerably in a few years to 1.2% or even more on the topsoil, which is quite important. And in turn, this gives you access to increased soil water capacity. Quite important during drought periods, as you can understand, and of course, saving the day when it comes to flood events. Now, it's quite important if you want to go through this kind of measures to be able to document with hard evidence, with real monitoring data, what you're doing. So in SpongeWorks, we have adopted the option of monitoring in 4 pillars: water retention and quality, biodiversity, and socioeconomics. We do set up customized networks considering the status, the capacity, and the budget each one has. And we're opting for before-after control impact mode, which means we want to control fields with measures, fields without the measures, before the implementation and after the implementation. And we do want to have the implementers developing a sense of ownership. So we do want them to believe that this is their own action, their own achievement. So they do have access to the data and appraise the data by themselves. So far, we have completed the setup of the areas where we implement. We have initiated implementation, of course. Monitoring is in place, and we're preparing for modeling at field scale in order to answer the question, what if we implement in full scale? We don't do this alone. We don't impose as a scientific team where will happen anything. This is done cooperatively and in a very slow pace, but this is how it should be done with all the local society and the local stakeholders, because it's their fields. They need to be comfortable, and every measure needs to be adapted to their needs and capacity. And of course, this is done together with a very strong stakeholder engagement, practice and collaboration with all sorts of social groups, as you can see here. What we found quite interesting is to exchange visits between the implementing partners of the different demo basins that participate in the project. And this way we have a twofold asset. First, we realize that it's not only us that face the same problems. Second, we exchange ideas that come very handy and useful to everyone. And as I told you before, there's no result and no success unless you monitor and you get data and results. Now, it's not only about implementing within the framework of the project. We want to make sure that these measures will be implemented, will be outscaled, upscaled, and will stay there for good. So there's a very serious and in-depth analysis of what are the incentives we can offer to the implementers so that they believe and they're convinced that there is something there for them. Apart from the economic incentives, which is very strong, of course, and the environmental incentives, which is the official motto of the project, there are educational and training incentives so that we can offer them, and we do offer them, and of course, social incentives that strengthen the structure of the local society. And speaking about this, a very special effort, since we're talking about the CAP cluster of the Mediterranean here today, is that we want to showcase them that what they are doing falls under the scheme of under the eco schemes of the CAP in this programmatic period, which relates to the area they're working on, and they can actually grasp financial incentives out of the existing financial tools. Going very quickly now through this, I just wanted to highlight the fact that this is only going to be a success if the local society, the stakeholders are there, and if all the scientific teams and the stakeholders from all 3 basins are working together. And this is what we're trying to do, and this is what we're trying to showcase here. Monitoring, exchanging ideas, co-design and co-decide. And of course, interacting with stakeholders, as you can see, goes through a very intensive and very systematic effort in different levels, which we take over through stakeholder engagement groups and community of practices groups at various levels. Again, ideas of how people decide on what instrumentation is going to be used, how they demonstrated as implementing partners the effort and the efficacy of new machinery that help in sponge solutions implementation. And of course, as I said before, we do need to monitor, and this is an attempt to monitor biodiversity. Also, monitoring with high instrumentation. This is an example of a cosmic ray neutron probe that we have installed in one of the piloting fields. Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. I insist on this along with the stakeholder engagement, that this is the utmost importance for the success of the project. And trying now to wrap up, what we found so far is that we have an environment that we have to balance the pros and the cons. There are many pros and many cons. So on the positive side of things, we have farmers that need to survive. And this gives them the will to fight and work on it and be a bit more open-minded than in the past. They need to be sustainable in order to survive in their area. So this needs to be taken into account, and we do need to guide them and convince them that what we're doing leads to sustainability for their farms. We have a trust sphere of people, of individuals and bodies that believe in us, and this needs to be exploited in the good manner. You don't knock at the door of someone you don't know. You start with people, they know you, they trust you, and you increase the sphere of influence like this. And of course, this is not enough unless you demonstrate the results. We do have demo fields, we do have results from previous activities, and we do count on them. And in every area, if you dig and search, you find and you scout inspired champions, people that have a vision, a very high vision, and wants to do the difference in their area. We do search for innovations, and they search for innovations. And in the end of the day, you have to believe, to find a core of believers and exploit every kind of funding mechanism that is there. I'm not going to stay long on the low side, on the cons of what we're facing in our areas, because these are common problems, I believe, all over the Mediterranean. There is low awareness on sponge measure solutions and in general nature-based solutions. There is low capacity and low knowledge on what you can succeed out of them, and this goes together with a very complex procedure to get licensing and funding for this kind of implementation measures. And of course, governance fragmentation doesn't help a lot. Often, we do face a problem of many promises in the past. Many promises from many people, and the state itself leads to distrust and disappointment to changes. So there is a very strong inertia to changes. But in the end of the day, we do believe in it, and we do see changes. So sponge measures are about the environmental protection, but the core goal here is to support long-term viability and resilience of agriculture. This is what our farmers and the rural society wants, primarily. And we always need to keep in mind that this, that we call water sustainability, goes through a holistic with a nexus perspective where we need to balance the needs. It's not only about water or agriculture. We do need to see the whole picture. The local actors need to determine that the measures are realistic, they are accepted, and therefore they are kept in place. So the stakeholder engagement is essential, and it's nice if you can manage to have early results from the implementation, which is encouraging and push people forward to implement. Incentives. These need to be found, and there are plenty of them, as I explained before. And in the end of the day, the challenge here is to transition to sponge landscapes, combining the practicality of NBSs, the local knowledge, and following realistic pathways. Theory has nothing to do with practice, and unless we're together with these people, we cannot do it. So here, what we found is that the main challenge is no longer to raise the awareness about so much the importance of the necessity of sponge measures, but moving from the pilot activities to broader adoption at real world constraints. Thank you very much, and I hope I didn't take too long.
Thank you so much, Dr. Andreas. If you have any questions regarding the presentations, please remember that you can post them on Padlet. The link is at the chat. We now move on to the second case study from Romania. This will be a joint presentation by Beatrice Zaharescu from the Romanian CAP Network and Dima Anciuta from the Project Development and Modernization of Vegetable Waste Briquetting Activities. This project demonstrates how circular economy principles can transform agriculture waste into valuable resource, an approach that is becoming increasingly important across the Mediterranean region. Dima, Beatrice, thank you so much for joining us. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Yes,
Good morning,
we can hear
everybody.
you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Beatrice Zaharescu, and I represent the Romanian National Rural Network. Before I start my presentation with technical details, I will let the beneficiary of the project to tell you the story of the project. Please, Ancuța.
Beatrice, maybe if we can, I don't know if it's possible for you to start, and we'll try to send Dima a link to enter as presenter, because
Okay.
the microphone
Okay.
it's on, but we still can't hear Dima. So can we do that? I don't know if you can hear me, Dima, but we will try to send you a link as a speaker, okay? And then you'll enter back because we should be able to listen even if you don't have a Teams account. Is that okay, Beatrice?
Yes, it's okay. Yes, it's
okay.
okay. I will share my presentation right now.
Thank you.
Is it okay?
Yes.
It's okay. 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 Before I start my presentation, I'd like to say that you could imagine taking leftover plant waste and turning it into useful energy. Today, I have the pleasure of presenting a success story that does exactly that here in Murigel Commune. Auzi, poți să-i zici să vorbească mai încet că am prezentare. Okay, this project is all about modernizing how we make vegetable waste briquettes. Thanks to European funding through the Delta Dunării Local Action Group, rural entrepreneur Ancuța Dima was able to buy new machinery. This upgrade made a huge difference. It doubled the plant's production, lowered costs, allowed the business to use new alternative raw materials, and even created a new job for the community. In the next few minutes, I will walk you through how is the investment came to life and why is such a great example of growing our rural communities and a prime example of bioeconomy and rural entrepreneurship in action. Here I have some general information about the project. It was founded through the European Agriculture Fund for Rural Development and financed through Submeasure 90.2 under the implementation of local development strategies. The title of the project was on the first slide, referring to the development and modernization of vegetable waste briquettes. The programming period of the implementation of the project was 2014-2020, and it was, of course, under the Regulation 1305. The project aims to develop and modernize vegetable waste briquetting activities through the acquisition of new machinery, delivering three key benefits: use alternative raw materials, expanding the available product range significantly. Plant production capacity increased to double the existing operational level, and it was a very and it has a very good cost efficient, significant reduction in production costs through modern high performance machinery. The objective of the project refers to the acquisition of a new machinery that was which aim was to double production capacity and diversifying raw materials. They streamline production costs and they even create a new job position. The financial implementation details. It was a project that was implemented through a period of 14 months, and they granted 129 euros, and with the private contribution about 14,000 euros. The results of the project refers to expanded product portfolio through the capacity to utilize diverse types of raw materials, and with one new job position created within the local community. As an impact, the non-reimbursable financial support was granted through the Delta Dunăre Local Action Group development strategy, which was essential for rural development and local economic growth. As a recommendation, we can consider that project implementation proved the efficiency of the leader approach and its positive impact on the development of rural communities across region. Here I have some pictures from the technology process. The machinery that was the acquisition of the machinery. Here is the waste. Here are the briquettes, the complete product, and they are in many bags ready to be delivered to the clients. Thank you for attention, and I hope my colleague will succeed to tell you the story of the project because she knows more than me. Thank you.
We've sent a new link to Dima. She will try to enter now and see if the microphone will work. We'll just wait a few. I'm sorry, I didn't have the camera on. We'll just wait a few more minutes to see if Dima will be able to enter as a speaker and then have her presentation.
Claudia, in the meantime, I can see that people have been active in Padlet. Oh, I think that Dima is back.
Yes, Dima?
Yes, hello.
Oh, good. We can hear you now.
For the inconvenience. I don't know what happened. It usually works, but today I don't know what happened.
No problem. You're already here. We're seeing you a little bit fuzzy, but I think it will. Okay. I think.
Okay. I am delighted to share with you my story. So my name is Ancuța Dima, and I want to thank you for the invitation to participate in the new webinar, Seeds of the Mediterranean, Water Sustainability and Circular Solution for Mediterranean Agriculture. I am an entrepreneur, an agricultural entrepreneur from Romania, and my farm is located in Tulcea County, in a small village on the Danube Delta called Sarina Suf. There, I have continuously expanded my business through projects financed by the non-reimbursable European funds for agriculture and rural development. Actually, my journey as with these European funds began in 2014, when I secured financing under submeasure 6.1 support for the installation of young farmers, part of the 2014-2020 National Rural Development Management Program. Through that project, I purchased a plot of land to cultivate melons, and that was the first step for me to continuously grow my farm. Sorry, I have a little bit of emotions. It's my first time on such a big webinar. After that, I have continued to grow my farm, and now I cultivate wheat, barley, sunflower, and sorghum across an area of 250 hectares. And in 2018, actually, recognizing market demands and realizing the absence of such a product in our county, I have decided to access a non-reimbursable European fund to diversify my agricultural activities through the development strategy of Danube Delta Local Action Group. So by that, I secure a financing of 70,000 euro funds, and I have established a production line for manufacturing heating briquettes from agricultural waste. This project was been funded through the 2014 and 2020 National Rural Development Program, and it has been started in March 2018, and actually I have completed successfully in March 2023. In big lines, that was my story, and I can say that I am actually a product of non-reimbursable European funds. If they haven't been invented, I couldn't be here today. So I am very grateful for the existing of non-reimbursable European funds.
Thank you very much, Dima and Beatriz, for this very interesting presentation and for sharing your experience with us today. As a reminder, if you have any question for the speakers, please feel free to post them on the Padlet, and we will address them during the discussion session at the end of the webinar. My name is David, and I represent the Spanish CAP Network, and it is a pleasure to introduce our next speaker and project from Catalonia, Spain. Raúl Ferrer is an agricultural engineer and advisor specializing in holistic management, regenerative agriculture, and the valorization of agricultural byproducts. Today, he will present a wool match building crop resilience in the climate emergency, an innovative initiative that gives a second life to sheep wool by using it as mulch to improve soil moisture retention, reduce water consumption, and increase crop resilience under the Mediterranean climate conditions. Raúl, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm going to share your presentation.
Hello, thank you for invitation.
Second. Here. Now you can start whenever you want.
Okay. I'm present in investigation of 4 years and of utilization of wool in ground or cover, and I'm in installation. Pass David. Pass the presentation. Yes. In recent years, the agriculture sector has been significantly affected by the climate emergency. Is a reality, and the drains and water stains are becoming more noticeable every time. We need to care for protect our soils, and we can do this through covering. And another thing, wool is currently considered waste in Europe, falls within the standard regulations and represent in actuality an economy loss for farmers who have to face the cost of sharing without obtaining any benefit from the wool. But this situation for years, I consider the introduction the wool in agriculture basically because is a material organic and is interest for their properties. In agriculture, we can use wool in different ways. First, compost the wool. This involves using the composting technique, but in this case, adding wool. From my opinion of view, it's a quick way to eliminate the wool problem. And second, biofertilizers with wool. This process requires expensive and toxic external products such as potassium hydroxide. Are interesting for obtaining amino acids, but also a quick way to eliminate the wool problem. In last years, the wool pellets is in Europe is utilizing the wool is compressed into pellet format and used as fertilizer. It is used in home gardening, but is interesting investigation to extensive cultivations. And the last is wool cover ground. It can help us retain most humidity and water and be resilient to drought and climate emergencies. For me, it's the best way to take advantage of the properties of wool. But what makes wool such interesting option of growth cover? I present four principal properties, and you understand why, in my opinion, it's one of the best organic materials available. First is a thermal regulation. It offers thermal regulation that helps maintain stable soil temperature, benefiting crop growth. This is because it prevents the sun's ultraviolet rays from reaching the soil, thus preventing the evaporation of water and humidity in the first place. Second, wool hygroscopy. Wool can absorb humidity, and when there is an excess, gradually expel it. That is, it's a moisture, is a humidity regulator. Very interesting for growth cover. And in this property, wool can have the property when he can absorb up the 30% of this weight in water. Wool is excellent for retaining humidity in the growth. Is a biodegradable material. As an organic material, is biodegradable, and as it decomposes, it adds organic matter and nutrients to the soil. It is also very beneficial in improving the structure and porosity of the soil. And last property interested is the environmental humidity sensor. Apart from retaining soil humidity and making proper use of irrigation and rainwater, wool has the ability to absorb environmental humidity from our ecosystems. The wool have a physicochemical characteristic. Wool is primarily nitrogen, which is organic and not contains ammoniacal nitrogen. It's ever organic. However, wool also contains carbon, phosphorus, potassium, copper, magnesium, and other elements. In my opinion and experience of work with wool, wool is the organic material with the greatest diversity of elements. The composition can vary slightly depending on the breed of sheep, but is not difference are not very high. Other interesting characteristics of wool are that it's between 18 between 18 and 19% pore space, and between 18.5 and 19% air permeability. This means that nutrients, water, air, and plant roots can circulate freely through the wool. Pass and next, David. But the wool really potential the biodiversity of the soil because it retain humidity. The biodiversity is have in a space good. Next next present next diapositive, David. Yes, but no. To pass videos. Yes. Initially, I began my research in 2022, and it was had rudimentary. However, starting in 2024, with the completion of my master's degree and final project, I began investigating wool as growth cover, gathering more scientific data. I had already demonstrated that wool worked, but the data was very preliminary. Therefore, it was necessary to obtain more scientific data to corroborate the findings I had gathered over the previous 2 years. So it was in 2024 that I began this more scientific research. I'm going to go through the results of the various investigations a bit quickly. Above all, I want to show you your clear images so you can see how the wool works and understand why I consider it one of the best organic materials for soil mulch. All the more scientific research I have conducted has involved observing different parameters, humidity and temperature, data from sensors and probes, depending on the crop. Then I have monitored the evolution of both the wool and the soil itself through laboratory analysis. In first investigation in 2024, my research involved 2 crops: young olives trees, 1 year old, and lettuce. For the olive trees, we had sensors and collected temperature and humidity readings, which were displayed on graphs. The graph shows difference between the 2 types of mulch. But the most interesting finding was the plant's vigor. This difference were already apparent after just 9 months of having the mulch on the ground, as you can see in the image, or the olive trees without the mulch has remained smaller, hasn't grown, and which have sprouted. In contrast, the tree with the mulch has no width and has doubled in size. This demonstrates the crop's resilience to extreme conditions. In these investigations, other culture is lettuce. In this later that same year, but in the middle of summer, I also conducted a test with littles. lettuce. I wanted to demonstrate that even in the haze of summer, the wool mulch result in resilience, crops, and continued humidity retention, allowing the plants to develop undisturbed. So I tested it with lettuce, a fast-growing crop that allows for multiple cycles. Two cycles were completed, and in both were very interesting difference were observed between having the wool mulch and not. Regarding the lettuce, one of the most not working findings in the first lettuce cycle from July 3 July to August 12. We were able to go 25 days without watering with the wool mulch. In the next David. That and the next use sensors to this investigation. Next. And yes, that is in the first 3 days of watering after planting, the plants were irrigated both with and without the wool mulch. But after that third watering, the lettuce plants with the wool mulch went 25 days without watering. What does this mean? We're working with a crop that lasts 5 days, and we were not using water for half that time. If we look at the lettuce harvest in the next diapositive, if we yes. If we look at the lettuce harvest and weigh it, we see that the lettuce with the wool covering, we had more than without it. In other words, we are producing with less water, and the quality is the same or even better than without the covering. In the next diapositive, you look at the is big. Looking at the water savings, this means that generally speaking, the wool covering saves 1.5 liters for gram of product. What it means that for every gram of lettuce produced, we were saving 1.5 liters of water. That's a significant amount of water, and this is one of the key findings of this search. Absolutely, the sensors also showed differences in humidity and temperature, which explain why we could go 25 days without watering. In next, this is water, and next diapositive. Now I'm going to move and pass David to next investigation. Pass. Yes, this. And now I'm going to a little faster. Aside from the research we did in 2024, where the results were impressive, it was already clear that wool was a viable option for regenerative agriculture and for use ground cover. But we need to continue demonstration it's effective. Therefore, in 2025, we conducted research on wool cover crops in vineyards in Menorca, in the Balearic Islands. The results were very interesting and positive. You pass these presentations, David. This. these diapositives. Next. Yes, the collocation of the wool sensors, and the next. Um, it was obtained differences of moistures of soils between soil with wool have measured structure and porosity of the soil. And the next. Also in the 2025, together with CITA, the Agri-Food Research and Technology Center of Aragon, this in Spain, we started a research project on wool cover crops in different crops. This is an ongoing project, and we're still working it. And in this case, we have several different research projects underway. We have 2 farms where we grow a variety of horticulture crops, and then we have 2 farms, one with dryland olive grows, and another with irrigated almond orchards, but with very limited irrigation. It's worth noting that these last 2 farms are located in areas where temperatures reach in 45 and 15 degrees Celsius, and midday in the height of summer. These are arid zones with intense heat, and crops typical struggle to thrive, especially now with the extreme conditions we're experiencing. And this is where I wanted to conclude by highlight the results with the almond cultivation. Pass David to almond. Yes, well, next diapositive. Yes. And this the almond cultivation process is somewhat similar to the olive cultivation project in 2024, but here we saw very interesting results. Aside from the difference in vigor observed, the wool was applied in May 2025, and within 4 months we already saw a difference in crop vigor, as you can see in the images. What's particularly interesting about the almond tree is that it loses its leaves and then regrows. So now we've been working on this project for a year. The interesting thing was to see how it behaved with the regrowth. In the next presentation, next. Yes, and here I present the regrowth. You can see in the images here, and as I always say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I will let you interpret this for yourselves. I'm just providing the images and saying that it's impressive. This is a resilience of a crop in the face of extreme weather conditions. Same watering, same peck in these in almonds. Almonds with land with wool, and almonds without wool. They have same watering, same temperatures, same conditions, and look at the difference. Ever just wool. In conclusion, we have a material, wool, which is an incredible versatile material. At the agriculture level, it has the capacity to improve soil structure and porosity, allowing for humidity rotations and maximizing the use of both irrigation and rainwater, and also maintaining a constant humidity level over the time, so what the crop can benefit from it for as a long possible. Furthermore, what do we achieve with this? We establish the soil temperature so that our crops thrive, resulting in crops that are resilient to extreme weather conditions. In the next diapositive, last, yes, this. Therefore, the challenge is working with raw wool. I don't treat the wool. I don't wash it. I don't do any kind of treatment to it. I take the freshly shorn wool and use it as growth cover. I take the wool that's been accumulating on farms for years and use it as growth cover. So the challenge in these years was working with raw wool. That's where the challenge lies. But as I want to quickly show you, to give you a brief overview, I've succeeded. We've managed to create a grow cover, and this prototype, this result can help us switch from using agriculture plastics. And this is the evolution of the investigation. When I have a result problematic, the wool where utilization in agriculture is benefice, and in the future potential ever the wool to utilization in agriculture. But thanks for the invitation. I excuse me, but my English isn't very good, and a little video to look what mean with the soil isn't covered.
Como podéis ver, mirad, suelo sin cubrir, mirad lo que provoca. Encharcamiento. Y cuando paseamos, cuando pisamos, compactación del suelo. Esto es lo que provoca una de las cosas de no cubrir el suelo. En cambio, nos vamos suelo cubierto con lana, ni encharcamiento, ni nada. Aquí, bueno, tenemos que atravesar. Mirad, aquí podemos ver que el suelo es arcilloso, pero está suelto. Pero nada, aquí podemos pasar, podemos pisar sin ningún problema. Ya lo veis. Y ya no porque sea lana, sino la importancia de cubrir el suelo. La importancia de cubrirlo. Mirad, es que mirad lo que genera.
Thank you very much, Raúl, for your interesting presentation. I remember you that if you have any question, you can post them on Padlet. Our final presentation comes from Cyprus, from Mr. Anastasis Christou, from Agricultural Research Institute of the Ministry of Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment of Cyprus. He will present us a study project case about sustainable wastewater reuse for agriculture. Dr. Anastasis Christou, thank you very much for joining us. The floor is yours.
It's a pleasure for me being here with you and sharing what we are doing here in Cyprus regarding reclaim water reuse for agriculture. So I'll share my presentation. So my topic is sustainable wastewater use for agriculture, and focusing on addressing water scarcity, environmental risks, and circular economy in agriculture. The use of non-conventional water resources is driven by water scarcity, which is becoming more and more serious due to climate change effect. So currently we are facing global water crisis, referring to the quantity of water, the quality, and most important, future scarcity. We know that only 2.5% of global water is fresh water, and less than 1% of it is accessible. We know that almost 45%, 55% of global population faces clean water scarcity, and this is due to the huge consumption of water from the agricultural sector, which accounts almost 65% worldwide, the pollution of water resources, which effectively reduces supplies, and the increase in demand due to population growth and climate change. So we know that climate change hotspots areas experience more severe impacts leading to water imbalances, and that the Mediterranean is considered as a climate change hotspot region. We all experience the extremely high temperatures across the Mediterranean countries during the last weeks. And this is something that Cyprus is experiencing over time. So the exploitation of non-conventional water resources is a necessity. There are several options. Desalination is a primary option, which is becoming cheaper due to technological advances, though is still costly, with high energy demands and potential environmental impacts, mostly concerning brine disposal. Water harvesting is an option. Water harvesting in dams and water conveyance through canals, pipes, and gravity is implemented worldwide. Groundwater recharge is also implemented, as well as virtual water saving through food trade. Wastewater treatment reuse is a practice that can serve saving fresh water and boosting agricultural production, especially in areas facing water scarcity. So the United Nations named wastewater as the untapped resource, calling that wastewater is not merely an alternative water source, but a critical component of water security, food security, climate adaptation, and the circular economy, being a crucial component for reaching sustainable development goals. So it's an untapped resource because over 80% of global wastewater is discharged untreated. There is a limited wastewater treatment and reuse infrastructure, resulting to low percentage of reuse depending on regions. We can see that Asia is leading this field with almost 15% of reclaimed wastewater used for agriculture. And importantly, Europe has low rates of reuse. And this is because of high capital, operational, and energy costs and concerns over contaminants of emerging concern, pathogens, antibiotic-resistant determinants, salinity, and public health risk. Fragmented regulation surely hinder large-scale adaptation, as well as low public awareness and limited social acceptance. This is what we call the yak factor. So wastewater is still widely perceived as a waste product rather than a valuable source of water, nutrients, energy, and other recoverable. Although there are success stories around the world, mostly driven by water scarcity. And among these success stories is Israel, Cyprus, China, and California. I have to point out that in Israel, more than 85% of reclaimed water is reused for irrigating crops. The reuse percentage in Cyprus is reaching more than 80%. The reuse of reclaimed water in Cyprus is a national policy. We treat and reuse tertiary treated water. In Spain and Italy, there are some good examples of reusing reclaimed water in very urban areas. In the USA and in California in particular, there is a concept and approach that is called the one water approach, which utilize reclaimed water as a component of the whole water resources. In China, reclaimed water in very urban areas serves for food security as well as in Australia. The proven formula for success is advanced research, strict regulation, and centralized infrastructures. And as I said before, scarcity is the primary innovation driver. The case of Cyprus, we have to say that Cyprus has the highest water exploitation index across all European countries. You can see in the chart above that Cyprus has 92% of water exploitation index, much higher than the second rated country, which is Malta, and almost threefold higher than other European countries in the Mediterranean region, and several fold higher compared to other European countries. So potable water needs are tripled during the last 30 years in Cyprus due to population growth and tourism increases. So we face serious water scarcity, leading to the establishment of desalination plants for providing more than half of potable water demand in the country. At the chart below, you can see at the red color the proportion of desalinated water compared to all potable water resources, with the other resources being water from rainfall stored in dams and water pumped from boreholes. So desalination is expanded and is expected to cover all potable water needs of the country during the next few years. So the supply of drinking water will be completely independent of rainfall and therefore freshwater resources. Regarding reclaimed water, the government recognize reclaimed water as an indispensable component of all water resources management schemes applied in the country. At the chart, you can see reclaimed water in gray, and you can see that since its first appearance back in 1998, the proportion of reclaimed water for irrigation is getting higher and higher. Irrigation water is also supplied from dams and boreholes. So why reclaimed water is a strategic solution for Cyprus? Because it's a reliable irrigation water supply. It can provide nutrients, especially potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus. So it can reduce fertilizer requirement. It can promote circular economy opportunities and reduce pressure on groundwater resources. So currently, reclaimed water irrigates nearly 20% of all irrigated agricultural land. It results to yield increases and improve resilience during drought periods and enhance food security. Here we can see two scenarios of reclaimed water reuse. A decentralized one serving urban areas in which wastewater is collected, sewer is collected and conveyed to centralized wastewater treatment plant, and reclaimed water can be storage and used for irrigation in urban and peri-urban hotspot agricultural areas of intensive farming. The decentralized example is serving rural areas and agglomerations in rural areas. Sewer is collected in decentralized wastewater treatment plants, with the resulted reclaimed water being applied for the irrigation of rural areas of traditional farming. Here are some pictures of fields irrigated with reclaimed water in Cyprus and balancing a reservoir of reclaimed water. Here you can see also some pictures of reclaimed water irrigated sites. Here is a pumping station and valves marked in red colors to show that they provide reclaimed water. And here are some aerial Google Earth photos indicating some areas irrigated with reclaimed water is what we call reclaimed water safe agricultural hotspots. At the left is in Nicosia and at the right are Larnaca, and you can see that these areas are close nearby wastewater treatment plants serving the capital of Cyprus, Nicosia, and Larnaca city. And you can see that all fields irrigated are green because of cultivated crops, and that the fields not irrigated with reclaimed water is completely dry. Reclaimed water used for agriculture is regulated by several laws, from which the most important is the Water Pollution Controls Laws, the Code of Good Agricultural Practice, the Integrated Water Management Laws, and the regulation of the European Parliament and of the Council on minimum requirements for water use. The Code of Good Agricultural Practice set safely precautions for the proper use of water. Some of this is the use of the use is prohibited by unauthorized persons. Pipes have to be marked with red line. A clear signal to alert the public that the water is undrinkable, and hydrants and distribution system should have protection and always be in good operation condition. Also, the Code of Good Agricultural Practice indicates irrigation practices, methods of irrigation and recommendations. For example, regarding the irrigation practices, irrigation of grass, green areas with limited use, and forest crops. Irrigation should be applied, for example, with drip irrigation or micro sprinkler or subsurface drip irrigation. And recommendation, for example, the collection of fruit from the ground is prohibited except in cases of nuts. Overall, we have to say that tertiary treated wastewater can be applied for the irrigation of all crops except leafy vegetables and tubers and bulbs eaten raw. Here are examples of crops irrigated in several reclaimed water use areas. For example, in Limassol, we can see that citrus, fruits, fodder crops, and vegetables and public green areas are irrigated with reclaimed water. In Larnaca, for example, corn and lolium and sudax and public green areas. In Paralimni and Agia Napa, olive trees, citrus fruits, potatoes, and football fields. And in Vathia Vonia and Nicosia, corn, barley, fodder crops, and grass production. We have to point out the role of research in successful reclaimed water irrigation schemes, because research can enable the development of advanced treatment technologies, the understanding of contaminant fate in agroecosystems, the assessment of contaminants of emerging concern uptake by crops, and their metabolism in crop tissues, the monitoring of antimicrobial resistant dissemination, the long-term field validation and One Health risk assessment, as well as to promote evidence-based regulation and public confidence and promote circular economy and resource recovery. To address these challenges, here at the Agricultural Institute of Cyprus, we perform real field experiments, field surveys, lysimeters experiments, and controlling greenhouse mesocosm experiments, aiming to apply research being compatible with real life, meaning that we want our results to be able to be utilized in real agricultural fields, and the results to be utilized from risk assessment studies, providing a robust evidence. So here we applied a multidisciplinary science approach to rank crop species according to their potential to uptake and accumulate contaminants of emerging concern in their tissues. I have to say that by contaminants of emerging concern, we mean micropollutants, including pharmaceuticals, antibiotics, personal care products, microplastics, this type of contaminants. And we show that leafy vegetables, namely celery, spinach, lettuce, cabbage, have the higher capacity to uptake and accumulate contaminants of emerging concern in their tissues, while table grapes, almonds, table olives, and other fruit trees have the lowest potential to uptake and accumulate contaminants of emerging concern in their tissues. We have to say that there are several factors affecting the uptake of contaminants by crop plants. Some of them refer to environmental factors like temperature, wind speed, low air humidity, which increase the potential of plants to uptake and accumulate contaminants of emerging concern. Plant physiology parameters like plant genotype, in growing season period, the health status of plants, their evapotranspiration rates also determine the uptake of microcontaminants by plants, as well as soil properties, and more precisely soil organic matter, the pH of soils and other factors. We have recently conducted a study aiming to evaluate the impact of the wastewater treatment technology and storage on micropollutants profiles, microbiota, mobile genetic elements, and antibiotic-resistant markers during reclaimed water irrigation in a water soil lettuce leachate system by using a lysimeter setup. Lysimeters enable us to sample leachate so to be able to find out whether contaminants of emerging concern can migrate to deeper soil layers and eventually to groundwater, causing pollution of groundwater with contaminants of emerging concern. Some of our highlights is that reclaimed water coming from membrane bioreactor treatment trains in general showed lower analyte levels than reclaimed water coming from conventional activated sludge and slow sand filtration treatment trains. Treatment trains define the reclaimed water microbial community structures. Storage mitigated the reclaimed water health risk markers profiles. Micropollutant detection in reclaimed water does not ensure presence in soil or lettuce. Most importantly, soil serves as a physical barrier to the mitigation of micropollutants from reclaimed water to plants. I have to say that we screen more than 2,500 micropollutants, and that only 13 of those were detected in lettuce leaves. Moreover, reclaimed water type significantly affected the upper soil layer microbial communities, and soil depth reduces micropollutant levels. Leachate shows micropollutants may leach through soil, impacting groundwater, and the impact of the reclaimed water types on soil dissipated with depth. Overall, we found no unacceptable health risk according to the evaluated exposure scenarios. Before closing, I would like to say what's next regarding our research priorities. We plan to investigate the environmental fate of micro and nanoplastic and PFAS in reclaimed water irrigated agroecosystems, as these micropollutants are regularly detected in reclaimed water and therefore are considered as pseudocontaminants of emerging concern. By saying this, I would like to thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you also, Dr. Anastasis Christou, for your presentation. So now we have heard the four very, very interesting presentations on waste, on water sustainability, waste management, circular economy, for these very interesting issues. But the problem is that we're out of time now, so I think there is no more time for questions. But nevertheless, after the webinar will be terminated, you can always use the Padlet to ask questions, and the speakers can answer when they see your questions. So we have this tool available. You can post them to Padlet, and we encourage also the speakers to exchange views and questions through Padlet, and we remind all speakers to send us their presentations so that we can upload them to the webinar event page, as we did the first time at the previous webinar. This will allow participants to consult the material afterwards and increase the impact of the webinar. If you have any suggestions for topics for an upcoming webinar, or if you would like to learn more about any of the projects, please leave us a message on Padlet again. We will post the slides and the link to the recording of this webinar on the website. You can find the link in the chat, and we will also be sending out a satisfaction survey via email later. So we're coming to the end of this second edition of Seeds of the Mediterranean. We would like to extend our gratitude to our 5 speakers, the National CAP Networks and the EU CAP Network, and of course to all participants. We hope this webinar had inspired new ideas and collaborations to strengthen sustainable water management in the Mediterranean. We look forward to seeing you at the next session in the series of webinars. Thank you all for attending this, for joining us today. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much all. See you at the next webinar. Thank you.